G'day, today we're talking bonnet scoops, particularly on an N70 Hilux, although this review will relate to any vehicle where the Mr Bodykits Godzilla XL bonnet scoop will fit on it. So whatever application you happen to buy one of these, Mr Bodykits sell this bonnet scoop for a whole range of different vehicles. I've just got it mounted on my N70 Hilux. I believe this scoop will fit any of the N70s. There's different bolting patterns, but I do believe you can put this on any N70 Hilux. As for this one, it relates to the N70 Hilux 2011 to 2015, which is the facelifted model just before the end of the N70 production. So I've owned this ute this is a 2012 workmate. I've owned this for 4 years, and I put the bonnet scoop on there as soon as I bought it. Aesthetics, I do love me a bonnet scoop. I've had bonnet scoops, put aftermarket bonnet scoops on a bunch of vehicles that I've owned, and wanted something a little bit different. Mr Bodykits was offering a pretty big discount, so I think it was a 30% off sale, so I bought one, put it on, and this is a review of how it's gone. 4 years of having it on. What's it been like? Well, first off, when you buy it, I believe you can ask Mr Bodykits to color code it for you. I didn't. I brought it unpainted, and it comes, it's a good quality scoop, and that's the first thing to note. Working on cars for many, many years, in the early 2000s, in that explosion of modification on Commodores and Lancers, Mirages, and all this sort of thing, very common to find like Evo bonnet kits for a Lancer, WRX bonnet scoops for a factory WRX Impreza, not as a non-WRX Impreza, that is. And what they do is they get a mold. Someone would take a mold of a genuine body kit from like an Evo Lancer bonnet or a WRX wing or a bonnet WRX scoop, mold it, make it out of fiberglass and churn it out. And there was a heap of different guys doing that sort of work, and the quality wasn't great. And frequently I remember you'd see cars, 3 years later, 2 years later, 4 years later, driving into the supermarket, and they bought this Evo style or HSV style front bumper for their Commodore made out of fiberglass, and the whole bottom lip of it was all hanging, dangly, stringly fiberglass that's been gradually worn off and torn off over time. So coming out of that kind of era, and we're a long way away from that, I admit that, but coming out of that sort of era, I remember crappy bonnet scoops, old fiberglass crappy bonnet scoops, and this is not that. I bought this scoop, they didn't give it to me, my money, I liked the look of it, so I fitted it. It's FRP, it's basically like an OEM scoop. So the OEM scoop, that's the OEM scoop, so you can see the difference. It's a lot smaller, a lot lower. If I tip it down like that, you might get a little bit of an indication. It's a lot lower, a lot narrower. Driving this, I've just recently done I'm doing reviews on the N70 Hiluxes, SR, SR5, and jumping into some other N70s compared to this one. The first thing you notice looking at the bonnet is this tiny factory bonnet scoop. It looks ridiculous after being in this. But having said that, if you're the wrong person, you could jump in my ute and go, what the hell did you put that on there for? That looks stupid. But based on the number of people who are trying to upgrade their their 70 series Land Cruisers with the later model 2015 onwards bonnet scoop, I think people generally like a bigger bonnet scoop. But anyway, FRP plastic, you wouldn't know it from OEM. It's really good quality. This is the factory scoop. That one feels exactly the same pretty much. So they're a good quality item. They've got all the mounting hardware. It's no drill, so you don't need to drill holes. It'll fit into the factory location. Comes with some double-sided tape for mounting. I didn't think it was enough. I actually put a bit more on it, but otherwise fits into the factory holes. No drill. This will come unpainted when it comes in, so you will need to paint it. Or I believe Mr Bodykits will color code it for you for an extra fee. I painted this one myself. The way it comes, FRP plastic. All I did was sanded it, plastic primed it, sanded it, get it all right. Factory white color over the top of it. Fit, no problems. The fit is very good. Like I've fitted crappy bonnet scoops before, and they don't sit flush, and they can lift up on one end, and you've got to really screw it down tight or really trust in your double-sided tape. This just sits in the holes, perfect, absolutely perfect. Contour to the bonnet looks absolutely factory. I mean, the size of it doesn't look factory. The size of it is huge, but fits in like factory. You don't need to modify it, and that might be par for the course with some decent, you know, aftermarket accessory like wings and bonnet scoops and side skirts and stuff nowadays. But again, back from my experience a long time ago, you didn't always take that for granted. Sometimes you buy something, want to fit it, and it took a lot of modification to get it to sit right. Whereas this just fits in beautiful. So it's been on there for say 4 years. No sign of stress, no sign of cracking. It's fine, and I wouldn't doubt that it'll last the vehicle. No problems there. The big question I got when I fitted it was people went, "Oh, does your engine run heaps cooler?" A few people around, people come, "Oh, your bonnet scoop, oh, did it make a big difference? Does your car run really cool now?" Let's be clear about this. I didn't fit it for that reason. It was purely aesthetics, and you can call me a bit of an idiot for doing that, whatever. I like the aesthetic of it. I think it looks good. I wasn't worried about cooling. I didn't have a problem with it running hot beforehand. And let's be clear, I don't think if your Hilux is running hot, I'd say you've probably got another issue, and fitting a bonnet scoop is not going to be the thing that fixes it. But also you're dealing with factory thermostats. You know, you're dealing with factory water pumps and cooling systems. It might take longer, perhaps, to heat up, but once it's at operating temperature, it's going to be at operating temperature whether I've got the factory scoop or this scoop on it. It is going to catch more air. Mr Bodykits does talk about the percentage of extra air that it will catch. And again, comparing the factory scoop with the new one, it's huge. So it catches way more air. Now, in terms of fuel, things like fuel consumption, has it made a difference? Certainly hasn't made it any better. In fact, I would argue it's probably made it slightly worse. The difficulty with measuring how bad it's made it is pretty difficult, because when I bought this, it had an aluminium tray, it was running on cheese cutter rims, 205s it was running, had the factory bonnet scoop, no bull bar at all, and I put a bull bar on, I put a heavy steel tray on it with toolboxes and a drawer at the back, I put side skirts on it, I put 265 tyres on it, put the SR5 rims on it, I've got my new bonnet scoop, so I've changed, and I put a bull bar on it, driving lights, I've added weight, I put bigger tyres on it, and the tyres alone will be your biggest thing. You know, in terms of day-to-day driving, you want to improve your fuel consumption on an N70 Hilux, change your tyres, go to a narrower width. Now, there is compromises to that. With a 205 cheese cutter rim, you're not going to have the grip, the traction, particularly I find that in wet weather, it'll have a tendency to aquaplane. The 265s really make the car feel a lot more planted, but it'll have no illusions. You're not going to get the same fuel economy. In fact, when I first bought this with the aluminium tray, factory bonnet scoop, no bull bar, narrow rims, I could get this thing into the 8s on the highway, fuel consumption. With all those things changed, I'm now somewhere between 10 and 11 on average. That's pretty much my average. That's what I run on. My average previously, I could dip down to the 8s on the highway, like 8.4, 8.5 on the highway. I do just a highway run, top the tank, measure it, about 8.5. Now, if I do that, I'd probably get 10. But around town, mixed driving, it's between 10 and 11, very reliably, that's what I get. But I'd say that's mostly to do with tyres, but that wouldn't certainly be helping. We'll be catching an awful lot of wind. And owning cars in the past where I've had driving lights on the roll bar, big bonnet scoops, things that make you drive, bug flectors, things that are on your car that are going to take more wind, it does impact your fuel economy. It really does. You don't realise how much extra drag you put on your vehicle can impact its aerodynamics. But anyway, doesn't run cooler. If you were running a big intercooler, you wanted to put a bigger turbo on, you want to run big power, you are worried about cooling, this will certainly catch you more air. One of the things you want to keep in mind though, is if you just take your existing bonnet scoop off, put this one on, you are catching this big extra area and you're going to plummet through the factory hole, okay? And even if you're running like with this one, compared to the original N70 Hilux scoop is, you know, probably half, something like that. This width, this is a centre mount, it's not offset, but the hole in the bonnet is the same. It's still that offset kind of hole. So even this one doesn't plumb all the air into the, you know, into a bigger hole than the previous model. It's still running in a much smaller hole. And that's what this does. Admittedly, it is designed for that. It has got a taper on this side and this side to try and funnel that air into the intercooler. Because that's the other thing too, you've got to remember, if you've got an N70 Hilux, if you pop the bonnet, you've got this intercooler sitting on the engine with a big plastic cover over it, and then a hole with kind of mesh, like plastic mesh, and that sits underneath the hole that the air comes in through the scoop. So even if I had a bigger hole, it's still going to go into the bonnet unless I take that plastic cover off and put a bigger intercooler on it. It's just going to be funneling air into the engine bay, and it's actually not going to be helping the intercooler a great deal. So I didn't feel the need to muck with that. The bonnet scoop is designed to drive it into that center hole. So I haven't changed that. But if you were running bigger power, you could make the hole in the bonnet bigger, change your direction, change where your intercooler is located. You could do all that sort of stuff if you wanted. But, you know, like if you were really going to seek big power out of a 1 kd 4-cylinder, I would probably suggest that someone's probably going to tell you to put a front mount intercooler on it anyway, so you don't get that heat soak out of the engine, but I might be wrong. So, you know, in terms of why would you do it? Aesthetics, in my opinion. Sure, there might be a case that maybe you could make the case that you want to, you know, just ram more air into your intercooler. Yeah, I just don't see the need. So the reason that you would do this is principally aesthetics. You want it to look a little bit different. You want to look a little bit tougher, perhaps. That's subjective. I acknowledge that, but that's the reason that you would do it. And if you do choose to do it, I would recommend, you know, I can recommend that bonnet scoop if you choose to make that step, just because it's such a good quality item. It really is. It's very well made. It will just go, you know, follow the directions. If it comes painted, anybody with a, you know, set of sockets and a ratchet would be able to change this over in no time at all. You do have to take the trim off underneath. That's the trickiest part of the install, the under bonnet trim. You do have to take that down so you get access to the bolts. But you know, panel removal tools, sockets and a ratchet, and you'll change this over in an hour. I don't know, it's been a while since I did it, but it doesn't take long. The biggest headache of doing this one was actually just getting the data and the time to paint it. But they're a good quality item. I recommend it on quality. Price, about 300 bucks. That's a fair bit more than what I paid for mine. Well, a lot more, because when I bought it, it was cheaper than that, and I got it at 30% off. At 300 bucks, you know, you'd really want to be making a statement now. But having said that, with what the factory bonnet scoops go for, like if I was running a earlier model N70 and I wanted to put the center mount bonnet scoop on it, I'd seriously consider putting one of these on it, because those later model scoops go for big money. And also with these bigger scoops, I have kept my factory scoop for when I sell this. Maybe the next buyer will want to put the factory scoop back on. Maybe they'll think this looks ridiculous. Fair enough. But those center mount bonnet scoops can sell for some big money. So you're going to get a portion of your purchase price back if you choose to sell it and go with this one. So for what it's worth, if you just know that you're not really going to be getting any extra performance out of it, I don't think, despite what Mr Bodykits say, I just don't know what, 30, 40%, whatever it is, extra air directed into your intercooler is really going to get you on a stock turbo, stock intercooler, stock injectors and a stock tube. I just don't know what that's actually going to do for you really that's tangible, apart from maybe impact your fuel economy in a negative way, just because of all the extra wind resistance this thing's going to be catching. But apart from that, in terms of the quality of it, I would recommend it. So for what it's worth, there it is. It's the Mr Bodykits Godzilla XL bonnet scoop for the Hilux. I think it's good as long as you know that really all you're doing is showing off. It's just an aesthetics thing. Hope this video was useful for you. Thanks for watching.